All right, you saw him on the debate stage, everyone, most recently, and, well, he wanted to come back on and talk to us about his role in this Republican presidential primary. Governor Chris Christie, former governor of New Jersey, is with us now. Sir, thanks for calling in.
Hey, thanks for having me on, fellas. Appreciate it.
At this point, a lot of people, I think, would assume the first question that you'd be asked would be something similar to, I believe, what Megyn Kelly asked you in the debate, which is, given your numbers and how things are going, why are you still in the race? Why aren't you endorsing somebody else?
Well, because at this point in New Hampshire, which is the first place where folks get to vote in a primary, I'm only 4 points behind Nikki Haley in second place. The only zone of two people in double digits there beside Donald Trump. And there's 5 weeks to go in this race. And so we've got a lot of work still to do. And we think we're going to do very, very well in New Hampshire and then move on from there to South Carolina and Michigan.
Last time you were on with us, Governor, you said you would have made the catch that Marquez Valdez-Scantling would have. You said you've been there, you'd have made the catch. I bet you would have lined up on sides, too. The Chiefs, it seems to be a theme here that Chiefs receivers have screwed up, and then you come on the show. But yeah. I wanted to dive into that in particular there with you. You said the last time you were on, I think it was right before Thanksgiving, that if you did decide to drop out, you would endorse Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis, that you wouldn't support Vivek, and certainly you're not going to support Donald Trump. I think everybody knows that. It seems to me that you have chosen, when I watched the debate down in Tuscaloosa, it felt to me like you were allied with Nikki Haley. Is it fair to say that Nikki Haley would be your choice in the event you drop out? Have you made a decision about which of those two you would support in the event you withdrew?
No, I haven't. And look, people always look at things cynically, and I understand why, given the state of politics today. But because I defended Nikki Haley on the debate stage from Vivek's really juvenile attack, people think that somehow that makes me aligned with Nikki Haley. What it makes me aligned with is common courtesy. When a 38-year-old guy on that stage compares his 3-year-old son's intellect to the intellect of Nikki Haley and does so unfavorably, I'm sorry. I just wasn't going to stand there and let him get away with that. He hasn't shown respect to anybody on that stage over the course of the last 4 debates. And at that point, I just had enough. So people should just look at that for what it was, which was, that's the way I was raised. If you're not going to show respect to people who have earned respect, then I'm going to stand up to defend them. And I would have done the same thing if he had done it to Ron DeSantis.
So Governor Christie, I wanted to ask you, I remember back when you were New Jersey governor and, the Tea Party days, you really made a national name for yourself by standing up to the teachers union bullies, right? I mean, and they're bullies. They are, and they don't care about the kids. And that's how, you became really a household name outside of New Jersey. And I remember watching those clips and, I, along with a lot of others, were cheering for you because it seemed like, or rather, I believe then you really understood in that case who the enemy might be too strong a term, but, you understood who needed to get, smacked around a little bit, so to speak, New Jersey style. Now, when we see you on stage, it feels to me, and I've gotten other people, listening to this show, they write in about this, that all of your ire is directed towards not, the people that are pushing for the wide open border and not the people that are supporting Soros prosecutor style policies in cities and states all across the country, and not the $33 trillion in debt spenders, et cetera, not the radical left and all this, but Donald Trump. And I just feel like that's something that if I were running a debate, I'd want to ask you, why are all the punches directed in Trump's direction and not at the radical left enemies we have who are really hurting this country and hurting working folks and people that, you are supposed to be championing?
Well, certainly, if you listen to everything that I say, that's not the case. But what I will say is this. When we're looking at the $33 trillion in debt, $8 trillion of it was racked up by Donald Trump in 4 years, the largest amount of debt ever racked up by a president in 4 years in the history of this country. And that came from a guy who said he was going to balance the budget in 4 years. When we're talking about debt, it's that. I have continued and did in debate 2 directly go after the teachers union and go after Randy Weingarten and Jill Biden directly. On the border, I'm the only one who has come up with a plan to try to deal with the border beside shoot him stone cold dead, or build a wall and have Mexico pay for it, which we got lied to about 8 years ago. So if you look at these issues, I've talked about all of them. I've been the one who has stood up and given a plan on how we deter China by expanding our submarine capability. And it's been reviewed by defense experts saying it was the only person who answered the question directly. I did the very same thing when I was asked about what's going on in our educational system, and that I'm for educational choice for every parent in this country, and I dismantled the Department of Education to do it. So I've said all of those things. But the reason everyone remembers the Donald Trump stuff more particularly is because I'm the only one up there telling the truth about what we're facing. We have a guy who's going on trial this spring who very well will be convicted because his own chief of staff, Mark Meadows, is now going to testify against him. And he could be in a position.
Okay, Governor Christie, I got to ask you this because you've said this before on the show. Donald Trump is almost 80 years old. He's facing 4 felony indictments in different jurisdictions. The first felony indictments he's ever faced in his entire life. They all are happening in an election year. They were held for years, so it could happen in this election year. Are these political prosecutions?
I think the one in New York is a political prosecution. And I think the one in Atlanta, I would not have brought, if I were the prosecutor, I wouldn't have brought that case against him in particular, because he had already been indicted for that federally by Jack Smith and the Department of Justice. But I think the two from the Department of Justice have absolute evidence behind them. And you can see it both in the confidential documents case. And by the way, if you want to talk about the delay in the confidential documents case, you know what was caused? Who caused the delay? Donald Trump, who for a year and a half refused to return the documents. For a year
Would
and
you
a half,
have brought
when
you were a U.S. attorney? Sorry to cut you off, but you were just saying you wouldn't have brought the case in New York or in Atlanta. Those are both state court cases. If you were a federal prosecutor, would you have brought the cases that Jack Smith has brought both in D.C. and in South Florida? You would have charged Trump?
Absolutely. I would have charged him in both. On the documents case, it is so clear that he will be convicted there based upon.
But let me just. Sorry, I agree. We've analyzed that, but I'm just kind of curious. You're a prosecutor, U.S. attorney for a long time. No one has ever charged a former president, certainly not a presidential candidate, in 240 years of United States history. To me, in order to break that precedent of never having done it before, it seems pretty aggressive, and I think, personally, a poor, awful precedent, regardless of what you think of Trump, to try to put the leading presidential contender right now going up against the sitting president in prison for the rest of his life. Are you not troubled by that precedent being set? Because whether you think about Trump, it's unlikely that he's going to be the last guy to face criminal charges once you cross that Rubicon.
I'm more troubled by his conduct. And there's no way that we can permit in this country for someone to commit crimes while they're in the White House and then say, if I declare for president again, you can't prosecute me because I'm running for president again. And I'm sorry, that doesn't put you above the law. There's no one in this country who is above the law. Absolutely no one. And the fact is that Donald Trump caused the confidential documents case himself. If he had returned those documents at any time in the year and a half they were asking him privately, quietly, by letter, with his lawyers, without even a subpoena being issued, then they issued a subpoena. He refused to do that, and we now have his lawyers out there saying that they told him it was going to be a crime. Like
the court obviously is now they're going to look at this because President Trump is saying that he's covered by the Presidential Records Act, and this might be adjudicated if this actually goes to court. But can I ask you, Governor Christie?
Records Act. Listen, hold on a sec.
No, I'm not saying he's right or wait, but
to know.
I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that's the defense that his legal team is going to mount.
Right. Yeah, and it's wrong.
Okay. Well, I know you think so.
I'm telling you right
but
now.
What I wanted to ask you, though, speaking of your sense of what's going on here and legally and otherwise, we have one more for you here, Governor Christie, and then we actually want to get to something. We're going to hold you actually because we're finding this to be a fruitful exchange. So if you could stay with us for another segment, but really quickly, do you think that there are, not all, but are there some January 6 prisoners or people that have been convicted who were treated unfairly before trial and have been treated unduly harshly after in terms of their sentencing?
Look, I think the sentencing in this was very, very severe. Now, I also think what happened on January 6th was very severe. And so, I'd have to look at each of those individual cases. And to be honest, I haven't looked at the sentence and done comparisons to all of the people and their conduct.
Come on.
I haven't.
They held people for over a year in solitary without them even getting their day in court.
Look, the fact of the matter is that people are held all the time in this country without bail.
Do you think there was an insurrection?
Without bail.
Do you think it was an insurrection?
I think it was a riot.
Yeah. I mean, we agree that it was a riot.
Yeah.
Right.
But, I mean, in order to hold somebody, in order to hold somebody in solitary confinement, you have to believe that they are a direct, legitimate threat. You would know the criteria far better than Buck and I would. I can't imagine that you think some guy walking around, dressed as a caveman inside of the U.S. Capitol is in danger of toppling the country.
Well, I don't think he was held in solitary, but
but guys like that were. Well, we got to come back. Can you come back with us?
Come back, Governor. We got to hit a break here. We got something else we want to ask you from the debate that really Clay and I it stuck out to us. But we appreciate you showing up and letting us ask you some real questions. So we'll come back to you here in just a second.
Welcome back in, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. The combative, I would say, Chris Christie. I always enjoy it. We're throwing questions at him, agreeing and disagreeing with a variety of different subjects, as, by the way, one should do in a, I think, presidential campaign. I would imagine the governor would agree. Everybody shouldn't agree on everything, and we should find out what we do agree and disagree on. And I want to play a clip. Yeah, you agree with that, Governor, and we agree. By the way, would you have, totally not serious before we play a serious clip for you, would you have thrown the flag on the Chiefs receiver for lining up offsides offensively at the end of that game, or would you have let that go because it's not that material to the outcome of the play or the game?
Well, you throw the penalty flag because he was offsides. He was clearly offsides, and you don't know what the result of the play is going to be. The result of the play could have been an incomplete. It could have been a sack. You got to throw it when you see it. And look, it's easy. Those receivers just have to check with the line judge to see if they're on sides or not. And the line judge will advise him. As a typical Chiefs dopey receiver, he didn't do it. And he wound up costing his team the game.
All right, we've got a clip we want to play for you, and then I'm going to ask you a question right after it, but I want to make sure our crew hears it. This is the fourth GOP debate about transgender transitions for kids. Cut 23. I'll let you listen to it, too. Here's Chris Christie on the stage in Tuscaloosa.
Republicans believe in less government, not more. In less involvement with government, not more in government involvement in people's lives. And you know what, Megan? I trust parents. And we're out there saying that we should empower parents in education. We should empower parents to make more decisions about where their kids go to school. I agree. We should empower parents to be teaching the values that they believe in their homes without the government telling them what those values should be. And yet we want to take other parental rights away. I'm sorry. As a father of 4, I believe there is no one who loves my children more than me. And I get to make the decisions about my children, not anybody else. And every parent out there who's watching tonight, you start to turn over just a little bit of this authority, the authority they're going to take from you next, you're not going to like.
Okay, Governor, I've got 3 kids. You've got 4, so I think parents out there have a variety of opinions. Mine are all minors, and I just want to give you a hypothetical. I couldn't take my kids right now and get them a tattoo. Now, leave aside the fact that my wife would murder me if I did it, right? But let's pretend that I took my 8-year-old to a tattoo parlor right now, and I said, I think it's in the best interest for him to get a barbed wire tattoo or something, right? I also couldn't take my kid to a bar and get him a beer, even if I thought, hey, he's ready, he can have wine, whatever else. Parents have restrictions on them. I don't believe any child under 18 should be able to have gender adjustment surgery in any way. I think that should be a prohibition. If you can't get tattoos and you can't get beer, don't we restrict parent rights all the time to protect kids? Why is it right to allow, a 14-year-old to get her boobs chopped off?
Well, look, you're making a comparison that I think, quite frankly, is not apt. They make those rules. They don't say parents can't take their children for a beer. They say anyone under the age of 18 can't get a beer, whether he walks into the bar on his own or whether he walks in a
And
company.
it's under 21, as we know. But
yeah,
sure.
And by the way, I
Right.
agree with that, and I'd have the same logic for anybody under 18 wanting gender assignment. If you want to be over 18, you can do it.
We got 1 minute, Governor, so go ahead. How is this not apples to apples?
So my point is that we are now invading into the House, and we're letting government invade into the House on all kinds of different issues. And I don't believe we should add to it.
Well, Governor, I mean, if you said to me, hold on a second, if someone said, hey, I just think that disciplining my kid with a belt and, hitting him with it is good, I don't think it's child abuse, the state doesn't say, yeah, we don't want to interfere.
And so what you're telling me is that every time a parent spanks a child, that they're subject to arrest. I don't think that's what goes on in this country right now. And that's why I think people who are making these type of comparisons are not making apt comparisons. The fact of the matter is you've got to either stand up for parental rights or not. And the next time you don't, then you're going to wind up having the government come in and say you can't do something with your children that is absolutely.
I got to tell you, we are both not sold on this position at all, Governor.
I just think if you can't get a tattoo under 18, you shouldn't be able to chop your
gender
boobs
mutilation
off
for
under
12-year-olds is something that we would think that all conservatives could oppose. But sir, I don't want to sandbag you here at the end, so we're going to leave it with. We got like 10 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, all right, but guys, look. If you're not for parental rights, then I get that you guys are not for parental rights. I am.
Okay, so he's going to sandbag us. All right, Governor Christie, everybody. We gave him his say. Governor, appreciate you coming on. We'll talk to you again. We're going to fight with you again next time. We'll see you next time.